Good afternoon, everybody. We're here to talk about our December 30th, 2023 officer-involved shooting, which did involve APD officer being struck by gunfire. Fortunately, the officer did survive. The officer has undergone surgery. The officer will continue to recover, and we'll give more updates as we have more information. I think it's important to also acknowledge that we do have 3 officer-involved shootings that we haven't given updates from. This is kind of jumping to the front of the line because we want to get this out due to the fact that an officer was injured, but we do intend on giving an update on all 3 officer-involved shootings later this week. It's just been difficult with the holiday season with people on and off and unavailability of everybody to be here at once for all the different parts that go into those processes. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Commander Hartsock, who's going to give an update on this officer-involved shooting and where the investigation is at this point. As usual, we ask everybody to please recognize the fact that as the case moves through the use of force investigation process, it'll go through IA force, IA professional standards for whatever violations may occur, and any changes that we may be working on for the department or recommendations coming out of it will come out of FRB at a later time. So just kind of getting that all out there from the beginning. Thank you. Bye.
Good afternoon. Again, we're going to cover an officer-involved shooting that occurred on December 30th, 2023 at 7817 Central Avenue Northeast. This community briefing will provide information about a male who shot a police officer during a traffic stop of a stolen vehicle, resulting in an officer-involved shooting. You're about to see relevant video footage and photos and learn about other evidence and police procedures related to the case so you can have a better understanding of what occurred based on what we know right now. The APD conducts very thorough criminal and use of force investigations, which typically require investigators to interview multiple witnesses, review hours of video footage, and analyze a significant amount of forensic evidence. We're still at the early stages of this investigation, which can take several months to complete. Our understanding of the incident may change as additional evidence is collected, analyzed, and reviewed. We also do not draw any conclusions about whether the officers acted consistently with our policies and the law until all the facts are known and the investigation is complete. A word of caution: the images and video may be disturbing. When police officers use force to arrest a subject or defend against an attack, it can be graphic and difficult to watch. In addition, there may be strong language by those shown in the video. The 2 officers that fired their weapons that night was Officer Howard Perry and Officer Isaiah Relaford. Both officers have been with the department since 2021. Neither of them have had any prior officer-involved shootings, and they are not currently back to full status yet as they recover from the shooting. Our officer who was shot but did not fire his weapon was Officer Zachary Garris. He's also been with the department since 2021. He has no prior officer-involved shootings, and he is still receiving medical care from his injuries. The person shot by officers and who shot our officer is 29-year-old Santiago Perez, a resident of Albuquerque. This incident took place in our Southeast Area Command. On December 30th, 2023, around 8:17 p.m., a reported stolen car out of Rio Rancho passed the intersection of Louisiana and Central Southeast, headed eastbound. One of our license plate readers sent a notification to our communications center of the vehicle description and the direction of travel. Several of our officers were in the area and started to search for this stolen car. Officers Garris and Relaford were riding as a 2-man unit in the same vehicle and drove by the Adams Food Market near the 7800 block of Central Avenue Southeast and noticed the same stolen vehicle parked on the lot. 2 more patrol units arrived, and a plan was made to conduct a high-risk stop on the vehicle while it was stationary inside the parking lot. Officer Garris and Officer Relaford in their patrol vehicle pulled directly behind the stolen vehicle and engaged their police lights. Officer Perry and another officer also arrived at the scene with their emergency lights on. They began issuing commands to the occupants of the stolen vehicle to raise their hands and surrender. The occupants did not comply. Instead, the driver of the stolen vehicle, Perez, reverses and hits the patrol unit. Officers persist in their commands to turn the car off and surrender. Approximately 14 seconds after the emergency lights were activated and officers pulled behind the stolen car, Perez, now armed with a firearm, opened his driver's door and fires 2 shots at Officer Garris. At least one of the bullets hits both of Officer Garris's hands, which were in front of his head, neck, and chest area. Officer Garris fell to the ground, wounded, without firing a shot. Perez then fires again, this time hitting the front driver's side headlight of the patrol vehicle. Officer Garris was able to get up, retreat to the back of his patrol vehicle, remove a tourniquet from his belt, and began to apply it to his severely injured arm to help reduce the bleeding. Officer Relaford, who initially deployed with a 40 millimeter less lethal tool, switched to his handgun and helped Officer Garris move to safety. Officer Relaford then took the position previously held by Garris, and he and Perez exchanged gunfire simultaneously. Neither is hit. Perez then runs across the front of the store towards a partially crowded area, gun in hand. Officer Perry, unaware that Garris had been struck, but hearing the gunfire, saw Perez running armed and fired 2 shots out of concern for the safety of the people in the parking lot. He hits Perez in his leg and his arm, causing Perez to fall and lose grip of his handgun. Officer Perry and another officer then took Perez into custody. This is a shot of the shot spotter notifications that went off that night. There was 2 sets of them. The first one was three shots, and if you kind of go in here a little bit closer, you can see the first 2 shots have a 0.2 second difference between them, which is what the evidence is leading us to believe is Perez firing rounds at the officer and then firing his second shot about 3.9 seconds after that first volley of shots. And we're about to show you the video. The second series of shots is Perez and Officer Relaford firing near simultaneously. You can see there's a 0.05 second difference in those shots being fired. About 3.5 seconds go by, and that is where shot spotter detects Officer Perry firing his 2 rounds that struck the subject, ending the incident. This footage was taken from the Adams Food Market and shows the best overall view of the shooting, although we'll show you the OBRD as well. This OBRD is from Officer Garris, who again does get shot during this clip and does not fire his weapon. This OBRD is from Officer Relaford, who, again, when this traffic stop starts, he's in the same car as Garris, but in the passenger seat, and he does fire his weapon.
Subject is walking on Dale. My unit hit by the out of the car! Get out of the fucking car! Get off the car! Get off the fucking car! Get off the car! Shit! He's hit! Shots fired! Shots fired! Shots fired! Get down! Get off the fucking ground! I fired shot. Hey, you hit? You hit?
Officer hit.
You're good. You're good. You're good.
Shot fire PD, subject down, so 2365, stepping up. All 34 is 10-4.
Vehicles.
This is video from Officer Perry, which again, he does fire twice. He hasn't started his camera yet, so the audio is going to kick in.
Get back! Everyone get back now! Get down on the ground! Get down on the ground! Do not move!
This is a still image from the video I just showed you from Officer Perry. And behind the red circle, you can see the handgun still being carried by Perez as he runs towards the group of people that are in this area. The distance when Officer Perry shot was approximately 46 feet. A total of 7 casings were located on the scene. 4, we believe, belonging to the suspect's handgun, and 3 belonging to officers. This photograph depicts Officer Garris's car. The yellow rod you see was placed by our crime scene team, showing the projectile hitting the car and the likely direction of travel into the vehicle. This is a shot of Officer Garris's car, which shows a blood streak from Officer Garris as he moved to the back of the vehicle for safety. Inside Mr. Perez's pocket when he was arrested was a bag of approximately 33 grams of methamphetamine and 214 fentanyl pills. The firearm that was used by Perez had not been reported stolen. As we were still continuing to find the complete history of the gun, we were able to confirm it was purchased in 2003 by the Rhode Island State Police. They did indicate to us they had since sold or transferred the weapon to an arms dealer after that. Our team is still working with our partners at the ATF and these other dealers to try to get a better idea of how the gun ended up out here in New Mexico and in the hands of a convicted felon. But at this time, we don't have any other information to release. No NIBIN leads came back on this firearm. Santiago Perez was shot twice. Both were non-life-threatening injuries, and he remains hospitalized. We're working with state and federal prosecutors on new charges from this incident, and he still faces a parole violation from a 2014 robbery conviction to which he had a warrant for his arrest at the time of this incident. The female that you saw in the car was questioned that night, but released. Over the next several months, the police department will continue to investigate and analyze this incident. We'll continue interviewing any new witnesses that come forward and complete any forensic tests. After the investigation is complete, our Force Review Board will forward their findings to the Superintendent of Police Reform to determine if this incident met the high standards of the Albuquerque Police Department. The MATF will forward their case to the District Attorney's Office, who will make any determination of criminal charges. If you have any questions, I can try to help answer them. Yes?
Do you know, can you elaborate on the injuries to Officer Garris's hands? You know, what exactly was hit by the bullets and what was affected? If he has any kind of lingering effects from it?
Well, it's too early to tell exactly what the lingering effects will be, but it's very likely. Both his hands were struck. At least one hand the bullet went all the way through. But we probably won't know the full effect, nor will Officer Garris for some time.
And it appears, Matt, that the officer was holding his firearm and that the bullet went through the weak hand somewhere here and then ended up going through here, lodging the direction of the hand and lodging in the wrist somewhere.
Oh yeah, it lodged in his hand and wasn't through and
So
through.
they had emergency surgery last night, and that night, and they were able to remove the bullet, and obviously we're waiting to see what the condition and what the functionality of his hand will be after this
But he
incident.
has all his fingers.
He lost a partial finger, I believe.
Is Officer Garris still in the hospital?
No, he was released that next day. Yes, Nick?
Yeah, you've spoken on how dangerous it's getting for officers continually with guns being pointed or they're carrying them. Has the department looked at charging attempted murder charges with suspects that are firing at officers? Because this is a life or death situation.
You know, we've looked at it, and one of the alarming things is there's actually greater penalties for ag battery than there is attempted murder in our state. Correct?
That's correct, and it's something that the DA's office will ultimately decide, but that has been a weakness of the attempted murder statute for my entire career.
And just to follow up, will you guys take that to Santa Fe in this 30 days? Because it's a big focus on the public safety.
I know it's been addressed in the past. There are some crime legislation, and I don't know if there's one exactly dealing with this right now.
Does APD go to every license plate reader's hit on a stolen vehicle, or is there something about this stolen vehicle in particular?
We try to go to everyone if officers available. It's not feasible always. There may not always be somebody readily available, but it so happened on this time and this location there were officers available. So when officers are available, we do dispatch them, just shot spotter the same way. If there's officers immediately available to go, we send them. So in this circumstance, this shift was just coming on, so there was officers available to go in. I think he was only on duty like 15 minutes.
And the fact that one officer already had the 40 in their hands, like there wasn't a force array set up, is that like a new thing you guys are trying to do, like have the 40 kind of available to like a partner officer?
That's something that we've always tried to do through our use of force policies, make sure that we have a force array, and that's what this, obviously he abandoned it when it became a deadly force situation, but we do always try to attempt to have some type of force array so that there's both lethal and less lethal options. Yes.
I just wanted to confirm, because the press release says Garris has been in the department since 2020, and the PowerPoint said 2021.
Ooh, somebody
I think
did
he
something
started
wrong.
the academy
In 2020. Graduated in 2021 is what I would guess.
With the gun, is that like, however, does that seem to be a normal thing for the Rhode Island State Police to buy a gun and then have it sold to like a dealer? Is that seemingly like something that happens like?
Yes, it happens all the time. Like when we replace firearms periodically, they'll go back to a company. We'll generally trade them back to the company where we purchased our new guns in the past. This process is changing now in the future, but in the past, they would get the firearms and then we would get our new shipment, so we would get credit for them, and then they may sell them to a dealer who then sells them. So they're trying to figure out the dealer that ended up with them, how did that end up back in the street?
So obviously, however, it was sold after that was not on record.
That's what I think they're trying to figure out. It could be that nobody found the record yet, but they're trying to work through that.
And E-Trace did not come up with a record yet.
Not yet, no record yet. Is that it? Hey, thanks for everybody who responded that evening. You know, it is a difficult time when you do have one of your officers shot, and I just want to thank everybody for responding that evening, how professional everybody was with everybody at the scene. The officers appreciate it. So thank you guys. Have a good day.